Welcome back to my little corner of the world. Wherever you are, I hope you're doing well. This past week, we've seen a significant drop in temperature and 2 heavy rainfalls. It has felt like a soothing balm after the heat and drought that we've experienced this summer. And it has left things feeling refreshed and revived. It has also reignited the passion I have for gardening and tree planting. I'm sitting here with my new little friends, these little tree seedlings, drought-tolerant tree seedlings that we picked up from a local native plant nursery. I'm going to get those in the ground today. It's been so nice with the cooler weather and the rain, and it just feels so good. I'm so excited to plant this little forest. This is something that we're going to see from our porch, which is back behind me. We picked up about 15 trees. We've been getting the local arborists to dump mulch. It's free. We get them little gift certificates to local places, and in exchange for that they bring these beautiful big dump truckloads of mulch, and we kind of flatten them out into these areas where we want to plant. It'll help it. I think I got wood chips on me, or wet, I'm not sure. Anyway, it helps enrich the soil. It helps obviously create a barrier for the weeds, and it'll also, most importantly, create moisture retention. So we've done that here, and as they keep bringing more, we'll keep expanding this little woods. And I honestly don't know if we'll be around to see it at its maturity, probably not, but for future generations it will be here. And I have a little vision in my mind of how I want it to look. I will be planting an understory at some point of shade tolerant shrubs and ferns and things like that, with a little path that goes through it. So I'm going to lay out where I want my little path to go. I'm going to do that with a garden hose. That's a really good way to kind of play around with any lines that you want to create in your garden. The second thing I want to do is create a little sprig mold of the deer that I had created a couple of videos ago. Sprig molds are molds that are taken with clay or plaster, and then you press clay into them and can pop it out. There's a really amazing Canadian potter named Harlan House, and he was a really big inspiration for me when I was in college taking pottery. He had the most beautiful little koi sprig molds, and what he did to get them so detailed and refined was that he made them quite big, and then as he took each clay pressing of it and fired them, they shrank and shrank and shrank. So he got the size that he wanted with the detail that he wanted. It was quite incredible. So if you're interested in pottery and doing sprig molds, that's a really great way to get detail. I'll show you how much the finished product will have shrunk from the original when I have one, which will be in a couple more weeks. So I will show it to you then. In the meantime, enjoy this video and I'll get planting these trees. Where I live in Canada, we can experience drastic changes in weather quite suddenly. I adore these changeable seasons immensely. My most beloved seasons are spring and fall. I'm as excited as a child on Christmas morning, seeing all my little garden treasures poking their heads out of the soil. I delight in seeing them all again, like greeting someone I love who I haven't seen for a long time. And autumn brings a feeling of winding down, going inward and being cozy. As an introvert, I cherish this time of year. The periods of longer darkness in the evenings allow me more space and time for cuddling up with my children in bed and reading aloud. Reading to my children has been one of the greatest gifts of motherhood. I was read to as a child, and it's one of my warmest memories. The stories and characters from those books have stayed with me throughout the years. Carrying on this tradition creates a warm, fuzzy feeling deep within me. Although we read year-round, the chilly evenings and early sunsets of autumn leave us with more time indoors and longer reading sessions. Sourcing good reading material is an activity that I thoroughly enjoy. The richness that good literature brings to our lives is immeasurable. I know that what we consume physically, mentally, and emotionally shapes our minds and how we function in this world. The quality of literature we consume is extremely important. Unfortunately, the most popular children's books of our time contain copious amounts of disrespect and poor values. Adults are often portrayed as annoying or worse, lying is seen as humorous, and negative behaviors are glorified. It is important to bring awareness to this trend and seek out enriching alternatives. Good literature inspires, uplifts, teaches us, promotes new ideas, and adds incredible depth and beauty to our lives. Whether you have children in your life or not, I encourage you to read some of the books I'm about to share with you. A good book is a good book, no matter what age range it's written for. I realized when I went to go pull a few books out of the cupboard that I pulled out probably more than I should have, but they're just so lovely that I wanted to share them all with you. And I will hopefully make another video very soon sharing some board and picture books. These are all chapter books, and I'm going to start with the youngest audience and then work my way up. So a series that we really loved is this one called The Heartwood Hotel. It follows a little young orphan mouse as she finds a home in a big hotel that's an oak tree, and lots of little interactions between her and the guests that stay there, as well as the other people that work there, or the other animals that work there. So super cute for a younger audience. The next series that I recommend is by Grace Lynn, and there's 3 or 4 books in the series. I can't remember if this is all of them or if we lent one out and never got it back, but this is so cute. She follows kind of a Chinese folktale, fairy tale theme throughout the books, but adapts it for a more Western audience. And she also, incredibly enough, does all the illustrations in them, which are so lovely and vibrant and beautiful. And on that same theme of folk and fairy tales from other parts of the world, there's The House with Chicken Legs, which is an adaptation of the Baba Yaga story, which is sort of a bit of a darker story, I guess you could say, but this is such a beautiful, beautiful version. Honestly, it made me cry, and it's so touching and just incredible and deep. And then this is another one by the same author, so Sophie Anderson, about a girl who wakes up one morning and is half bear, and she has to navigate that. And this one I recommend just as an inspirational story. This is Pay It Forward. Although there's some sadness maybe towards the end, so maybe for a bit of an older audience, it's got a really incredible message, and it's got so much heart and feels very real, and maybe a potential of what the world could become if everybody did what is said in this book. So beautiful, beautiful book written from the heart. And then there's this one, Greetings from Nowhere by, I think it's Barbara O'Connor. And I really like some of Barbara O'Connor's books. I haven't liked others, to be honest. Some of the language and the way characters treat each other in some of the books are a little bit not in line with what I'd like to read to my kids. But I thought this was a really touching one. And I really liked where it took place in the Appalachia Mountains. I really, really loved it. So highly recommend this. She's really good at character development, and I appreciate that in a children's book very much. And the next one I want to recommend is the Anne of Green Gables series. I'm going to focus mainly on the first book here, and the second book is also this one. Very sweet. Beyond that, I don't love them as much. I think they're still worth reading, and I have no regrets. We definitely got fully absorbed in the world of Anne. But I found the first two were sort of the most charming and most geared towards a bit of a younger audience, although they weren't written as children's books. They read very well as children's books. And she's famous. If you've never heard of her, she is from Canada, where we live. And it makes me really want to go visit Prince Edward Island after I read these books, which we will do at some point. And speaking of another series, which wasn't necessarily written for children, but I think is really, really lovely to read to kids, is the James Herriot series. This follows a vet in the UK at the turn of the century and his experiences as working as a rural vet. It does get a little graphic at times, I guess you could say, but it's handled so beautifully. There's a lot of humor. You might want to have a read of these before you read it to children because there are some adult themes in it. But I think the values behind the books are really lovely, and James Herriot is so heartwarming, and the stories he tells of the farmers and his experiences with the animals are just so beautiful. So if you haven't read any yourself, please do yourself a favor and read James Herriot. I also really loved these two books. We homeschool our kids, by the way, if you didn't know that already. And we only really do language arts and math, but we often learn everything else through the books we read. And I really appreciate these historical fiction books, such as these two. This one takes place during the Great Depression, and this one takes place during the time of leprosy. So really, really neat stories, both of them, really heartwarming and lovely and educational as well. Speaking of good educational value, this one here, Brown Girl Dreaming, is absolutely beautiful and a really, really lovely introduction to civil rights movement and racism and touching on those subjects with kids. It's written almost as poetry. I can't even tell you how beautiful a book and how enjoyable a read this was, at the same time as bringing up really great conversations between me and my daughter. And the last author I'm going to share with you for the moment is Linda Sue Park. My goodness, these are our most recent reads, and I cannot tell you how much we've learned from her in terms of Korean history and just history in general. She is incredible. Not only does she research her books incredibly well, her character development is amazing, and her stories are just incredible. So we started with A Single Shard, which I have to say is probably the lightest of these books. It's a historical fiction book, and it follows an orphan who trains under a master potter. Whenever I come across an author that I really like or a book that I really like, I search out other books that they've written, which led me to these ones. So A Long Walk to Water we read after that, which was incredibly eye-opening, very hard to read, honestly. I asked my daughter partway through if she was okay with continuing because it deals with some very mature and horrific subjects. I have to say it deals with it in a way that's manageable, and it brings up really good conversations around war and atrocities. But if that's something that you might not feel comfortable with, steer clear of this one. But if you do, it's a fantastic read, and your eyes will be open to what was happening in South Sudan in the, probably for hundreds of years and still continues on, and what people are doing to change it. So very important. And then we read this one after that, When My Name Was Kyoko. And this takes place during the Second World War in Korea, and it's under Japanese occupation, which maybe we learned about in school. Honestly, I can't remember learning about that. This, again, was very eye-opening. It didn't have as many difficult moments. There's one or two, and there's things that are brought up, such as kamikaze pilots, which, again, beautiful history lessons, but maybe some difficult subject matter as well. So just be aware. This is the last book that I want to share with you. It's the book we're currently reading, and we're almost finished. It's a really interesting take on a time period that many of us have heard about through a white Western perspective, which would be through books like Little House on the Prairie series. And this is the same time period, but told from a different perspective. This is about a girl who is half Chinese and moves out to La Forge in the States as it's just being settled. And she's experiencing a lot of racism, and she tries to make her way in that little town as it's establishing. And I just think it's a really important perspective to have from that time period. And that's it. I would love to hear if you have any recommendations. We're particularly interested in historical fiction books at the moment, just because I find it such a good tool for teaching the kids about history in a really tangible and real way. I love sharing with you, and I would love to hear what you have to say as well. Happy reading to you, and I shall see you very soon. If you're curious about the clothing that I'm wearing during this video, I sew all my own clothing, and I'll make sure to leave the details to the patterns in the description box below. Take care.